It's Saturday, the 16th of July, 2022. Today's pre-season special. We will be running the rule over this afternoon's friendly at Bloomfield Road as Blackpool took on Europa Cup finalists and Glasgow Giants, Glasgow Rangers. We'll also be mulling over the current squad strength, catching up on all the latest news, transfers, and goings-on since the last pod. I'm John Espel. This is Seaside's podcast, Match Reaction Show. Blackpool 1, Rangers 2.
Small town from the north of England with a great tradition.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Seasiders podcast. Seems a bit weird on a July the 16th, but the season is upon us. Sean, that was I dropped that little description into the introduction. Glasgow Giants, Glasgow Rangers. How was it for you, darling, sat in the middle of them?
It was great fun, John. I really enjoyed my time in the East Stand. It was really a moment to savour. A lifelong ambition, childhood dream.
If there's any girls listening, Sean is a fan of the other team in Glasgow that plays in green and white hoops. So, Sean's obviously a Lengths Live reporter. He was in the press box surrounded by Rangers fans. So I'm sure he enjoyed that. Tim, welcome. Welcome.
Yeah, just a triumvirate tonight, isn't it? It's just the three of us. So
it's a menage a trois.
So we seem to be dropping presenters like the proverbial flies, but so no Mitch tonight, no Joe. I think still training his dogs, doing his Barbara Woodhouse bit, and. I've got to say, his video of his dog was quite cute the other night. They put on the podcast patrons group. I've got to say, so every credit, Joe.
Well, Joe, considering your robust views at the strength of the squad, I thought this would have been a perfect platform for him to come in and air those views. But he's declined.
And our new female presenters let us down as well, hasn't she?
Yeah, messaged, ghosted. Story of my life. Right, Blackpool v Rangers. I said in the intro, we're going to be talking about this game, then catch up on some of the other news and all goings on. Let's talk about, firstly, the Rangers fans. Tim, I thought they made an absolutely fantastic spectacle of the day, 8,000 plus of them, and probably the best away support I've ever seen at Bloomfield Road. There
was a lot of people actually I noticed on Twitter on ABFT said they weren't going to bother because they could see the home ends being full of Rangers fans and they weren't particularly keen on that. But I must admit, I went in the Armfield Club just for a quick flyer before the game, and I was quite surprised to see them all in there. But I know. Obviously, Sean's the other side of the Glaswegian fence, shall we say? But they were great fun. They were very respectful. They were shaking your hand. They were kind of buy you a drink, and then you get in the ground. And I've got to say, it actually reminded me of going to like a game in Germany with the sort of flags behind the goal, and I thought I'm struggling to remember an away support that made as much noise as that, and because it is a friendly at the end of the day, it's not like it means anything. And to be actually honest, what surprised me a little bit was they didn't celebrate the goals as much as I thought they would do. Again, because it's a friendly, it was just the overall atmosphere of the day. It was a great sunny day. I've never seen as many alcoholic drinks on display in the north as I did today.
Well, I got told. Obviously, I was with Eddie, so I wasn't drinking. I got my bag searched. I had 2 bottles of water. Obviously how hot it is and to keep hydrated. He said, well, you can't take them in. I was like, what are you on about? He said, oh, you have to take the bottle tops off. I was like, fuck off, no.
I said, no. 25 flares popped up on the other side.
So there's people drinking in the north. There's people smoking. Like Sean just said, 25 pyros let off, and they're trying to take bottles of water, the tops of the bottles of water off me and my 8-year-old son. I just told him to fuck off. I said, no. What are you going to do?
Obviously, they don't get alcohol in the grounds in Scotland. So I think they kind of make the most of these trips.
I don't think they
away,
realise that we're
'cause-
not allowed it in the seats at ours. Cause
Yeah,
Is
well,
that
yeah.
true? Sean, is that true?
Yeah, no, you can't buy alcohol in the grounds in Scotland during the season or at all. I don't think.
What?
So yeah, no, you can't, and they tend to be a bit shit with pubs around the area and stuff, closing them off as well. So it's a bit of a pain in the arse drinking in Scotland, to be honest. So I suspect they probably just make the most of it while they're in these grounds that you're able to.
some guys came along our row and they were just carrying pints of lager. They weren't even hiding them.
Well, you know, that kind of shows that it can be done, I suppose, doesn't it? You know, joking aside, that as Tim said, the Rangers fans were all pretty respectful. You know, they're all a lot pissed out their heads, but there was no trouble whatsoever.
I never actually saw somebody. I'm not saying they weren't, because I'm sure they'll be leathered later. But I didn't see anybody like falling over drunk or anything, and they were all just there to have a good time. And I'm sure it would have been the same if Celtic had come as well. It'd been exactly the same. And
I would have been kicking everyone's head in.
But it was, and it was, there's I was quite surprised how few Blackpool there were there. I thought we might have had a few more, but those that were there did, sort of lent to the atmosphere as well. Getting behind the team, and there was a few banter chants, wasn't there? Because Rangers had a very similar chant to our only team in football. So the sort of there was a bit of banter going about over that, which I thought was quite good, and everybody sang "God Save the Queen" together, which I thought was a bit creepy, but I thought it was a bit creepy. Why just sing a song to this German family who managed to parachute themselves into the royalty of our country? But anyway, there you go.
It's the national anthem, Tim. How dare you?
I know it's sort of some awful national anthem, though, isn't it?
I think you should be. Your head should end up on a spike.
outside
Traitor's Gate. Yeah. Throw rotten tangerines at it. Ian Barron's just said, I bet there was a lot of rubbish after the game. I did notice, and also Will made lots of money today with Rangers fans. I did notice there was loads of bottles of Buckfast tonic wine crudely discarded around the place. Now, Sean, tell the uninitiated what Buckfast is. I'm sure
it's like the national drink, isn't it? It's you can get it very rarely in random corner shops in Blackpool, but that is for the uninitiated. That is the drink of choice if you're randomly stumbling around a city centre or a town centre at any point in Scotland.
So what is it? It's tonic wine.
It's like tonic wine, but it's dead sweet.
What exactly is that?
Honestly, I haven't.
It's like I've had it before.
Sweet, yeah.
It's like a sherry, but it's not. It's sort of not quite. I don't think it's quite as sweet as a sherry, is it? But when a mate of mine, Nick, who used to share a house with one time, he used to work at the off license at the top of Chapel Street, and they used to sell it in there. So he didn't finish work till 10. So if we were out and we'd been out for a few hours, he'd have a bottle of Buckfast to catch us up. But they sold it in there, of course, because it's right literally at the top of just off the promenade. And so I've had it. I can't say it's a pleasant drink, but it does. The idea is it gets you.
It gets the job
in
done,
the mood quite quickly.
I used to, just as an aside before we go on the match, I used to work in that tobacconist called Smoker's Choice under the tower. I don't know if anyone remembers it. You used to be able to buy single fags. Yeah. And the Scottish contingent visiting Blackpool, they always used to buy these fags called Kensington's Club. And that's like the fag of choice of the Glaswegian, and they'll wash it down with Buckfast. So, yeah. Anyway, on with the game. Just the MB's just said the red flares looked class. What's our views about that?
It's interesting because obviously I think we all made the point at the same time. As I think it probably been a different stewarding and policing response if it had happened in the home end, but that shows that if there's an element of organisation to it, that it's something that really adds to a game. And at the end of the day, if we go a step further and sort of allow these things in grounds, then it allows for clubs to openly sort of liaise with fan groups and things and be able to actually make it as safe as possible within the ground, which is the best way to go because they're always going to be a part of football now. It's part of this culture that's coming over from Europe. So it's important that we just kind of embrace it to make it something that we can do on a more regular basis. Because that spectacle, you can see the amazement of people when they see those sort of things. It does add to the game.
It was quite Teutonic. It was quite Teutonic, wasn't it? The sort of the way they approached it with the flag, like the flag section right behind the goal, which is sort of like, if you watch Bayern Munich games, it's
they're like I think they call the Union Bears,
and they're all in white, aren't they? They've all got white tops on, and they're doing all the bouncing up and down, and that's. I remember going to Kaiserslautern, and it was like a random lower second division game in Germany, and everybody got frisk going in, and there's all riot police everywhere. And they were getting there, and I forgot who they were playing now. It was somebody local, reasonably local. And the away end, they've all been frisked. The security was amazing. And then we get like almost the equivalent of an organised firework display in the away end before the game that covered the whole pitch in smoke. I'm thinking, how the hell did they get them all in? But whether they were allowed or not, I don't know. But I've got to say it was a spectacle, and they were bouncing up and down, and I'm all for it, mate, as long as it's controlled. What you don't want to do is people throwing flares. What you don't want people doing is chucking them about. But if it is organised, it can be quite effective, I think.
Ian just said every ground should have a pyro corner of the ground there. I think I absolutely agree. It was it was something we've not seen at Bloomfield Road ever, as long as I can remember going.
No.
And it's a lot safer than throwing smoke bombs on the pitch, which we did see as well. But to be honest, from us, not them.
But again, that's why it's good to have it organized, because there is an element of organisation to a few fan groups in Scotland, and there is that sort of liaising with the club and kind of having that common understanding. And when you've got that group that are identified, then they kind of keep everyone else in line, and there's that self-organisation rather than having lone people with flares and stuff. If there is organisation to it, it kind of cuts that out, doesn't it? Just having random lads coming in with smoke bombs and taking the piss a bit.
Did anyone see the smoke bomb that came in on the north? It was a white one. I think might have been after we scored. I saw the guy that lobbed it. It was quite high up in the north where I was, and he threw it. It just hit the back of the just in the back of the net, and it missed someone's head. There's quite a few people stood at the front of the north, Tim. Don't you saw that?
Yeah.
Must have missed this person's head by about 6 feet, and if that had hit him, about a foot, I thought, what a stupid thing to do. If you're going to launch that, make sure it goes on the pitch by a fair old distance.
And I suppose the counter argument is what we've seen at our own club is that you can have what's perceived to be potentially safe pyrotechnics, but then does it encourage people to bring other stuff which isn't safe? I mean, we had a Blackpool fan, haven't we, who's had his hand blown off with a pyrotechnic out, when smoke bombs smoke bombs were being let off outside the stadium, and also somebody else brings something of a bought off the internet and of a different constitution. He picks it up and it ends up blowing his hand off, and he's disfigured for life. So there is a balancing act, I think, and I don't quite know where the sweet spot is in it, but it's what we saw today was clearly organised and not dangerous, and it's about trying to manage that, I think. And I think what Sean says is right. I think if you get the club and the fans groups liaising, and it's known that it's organised and it's done in a reasonably safe manner, it can create a great visual effect, I think.
I think obviously the club needs to be on board with it, don't they? And they could say, right, this needs to be organised by this bunch of people, the ultras, whatever you want to call them, and I guess they can then self-police the rest of it and say, look, if smoke bombs start coming in from random people, you'll lose all this. You lose your privilege.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Because the clubs aren't giving that support or on these sort of things by the leagues and by the organisations, they're not going to take that stance, because it's all going to fall back on them if something goes wrong. So until there's sort of a cross-party sort of consensus on that, then it's difficult to do. But I think the club worked quite well, to be honest, with the support groups, particularly with the North. I think they've kind of tried to balance that act. Obviously, when we initially went back, getting the season tickets and getting that North stand up and going was something that not every club wants to do. So
do you think the Rangers fans have they've just done that today, have they? They've not received
It's
permission
there.
from the club.
I don't know. I don't know. But I know that obviously they liaise with Rangers quite often. Like, so for example, if they've got like a full stadium tifo before a game, they're working with the club to get them sort of organised and stuff. And it's the same for a few clubs in Scotland. I think there is more of a progressive attitude to it in Scotland than there is in England. But yeah, I think it was their anniversary of the supporters group thing, and that's why they were doing it today. So, but yeah, when they're used to it, aren't they? They're experienced with it now. So,
just segueing into that, of course, we've just got over about 2 weeks ago now formal permission to introduce standing areas back into Premier League and Championship grounds. Obviously, the trials were going on last year, and I think that it's going to sort of tie in. I think as regards, I think that if standing areas are going to be introduced, then clubs and fans groups are going to have to work together as regards how that's going to work. Who's going to be in there, and ideally, you're going to create a far better atmosphere. I think we've got a pretty decent atmosphere anyway. But if you substitute the north, for instance, with a large standing area, how much better could it potentially be? Yeah. And if other clubs are going to do it and we're not, then are we going to slip down the pecking order in relation to atmosphere? Because I know like QPR are doing it, and Cardiff, and I forgot who else is doing it in our division. But there's a fair few looking at it. The clubs like Tottenham have built the grounds to accommodate it, and and I think we do need this bit of fan culture coming back in, because it's a little bit of a sanitize when you compared with. I know I've said it before, but when you go abroad, the experience abroad as regards watching it is a bit rawer than we're a bit sanitized here sometimes. I tend to find, and I think if you compare the atmosphere of what it used to be like in the, dare I say, 70s or 80s when I first started watching us against now, I'm not talking about the hooligan element, but I'm talking about the atmosphere element. The atmosphere element has definitely dropped off as against what it used to be then, and I think we need to get that back. I think it's quite an important constituent of what is the match day experience, and I've always championed and returned to safe and responsibly run standing areas.
Well, we had that Safe Standing Roadshow guy come down, Tim.
I still keep in touch with him. He's a great guy, and I met up with him in Germany last time I went. He's an Union Berlin fan, and he spends half his time over in Germany, which I think is where he got the original links from. And but yeah, he's. I know he's been in touch with it. I know he's been in touch with the club recently. We've got the East Stand to build, and I don't think personally I wouldn't build it in the East Stand. I would do it in the North, but you can reuse the seats from the North and the East, or whatever if you were doing it.
What's the official club line on it? Because I remember Ben Mansford not being too positive about it when he was asked. I can't remember what he said.
I think he said not on my watch, didn't he, or something like that.
Didn't Carl say that?
No, I think to be fair, I think Ben said it as well. But I think it's evolving, isn't it? The debate about it is evolving, and now we've got the Premier League and the EFL sanctioning it for the top two divisions, and we've seen and all the trials have been successful. There's been no issues, or certainly no issues that I'm aware of. And we're about to do a development at the ground, then I think the discussion has to be had. And my understanding is from recent discussions BST have had with the club that that they're not shutting the door on it. There's whether it happens or not is a different matter, but there's a cost to it, and I think that's what you got to think about and how it's funded. I know I remember Shrewsbury doing like crowd fundraiser to help fund it. Do we look at something like that, or is there an advertising opportunity that can be linked to it? Because when the seats flip up, you can have something on the bottom of the seats, you see, that actually creates an advertising opportunity for somebody when the ground's empty. That obviously when the ground's full, you wouldn't see it, but it would be seen if any time the ground was empty. So I know John Darsh, who's the guy you're talking about, John, has all sorts of ideas, and hopefully at some point before we start finalising the plans, that he'll be invited up to Blackpool and could have a discussion with Ben and Simon and Brett and whoever else there might be to see what the opportunities are and what the costings are. Let's hope that happens. At least let's have the discussion about it. Because
you don't want.
I think we've got such a fantastic atmosphere at Blackpool. We want to embrace that and make it the best. Again, we always talk about that. The best club we can have.
We basically want the North to look like what the Rangers fans did today in the South.
Oh, massive! You looked at that end, and you thought that's how it should be done, didn't you?
Yeah.
That's how it should be done. If that was Blackpool every week, it'd be like, wow.
Yeah. Tangerine flares at the beginning. Yeah, it was good. Really liked it. Right, let's get on to the game. 20 minutes in. Good chat, though, nonetheless. So this was how Blackpool lined up. Not with that view. Let's go with that one. It's a bit bigger. Buggered my way up. Right, there we go. Dan Grimshaw, Callum Connolly, Ekpateta, Keogh, Rob Apter, just a few, Sean, Kenny Dougal, Kashi Anderson, Josh Bowler, Sonny Carey, CJ Hamilton, and Gary Medine. So, Sean, you've obviously banging the drum for Rob Apter. Was it good to see him starting in this a game of this magnitude?
Yeah, obviously it would be nice to see him on the wing where his natural position is, but I think obviously as we'll come on to, and as he's shown in pre-season, he's doing so well. Out of position, Appleton seems to really like him. Appleton's happy to give him the trust in those positions. Obviously, we are short anyway, but Harvey Hughes is a natural left back. Jordan Thornley's played at left back before, but he's trusted Rob Apter to play in a game like this against a very strong side, and he played well. And I would like him to see him stick around. If I'm being perfectly honest, I think it's worth the gamble of having him around this season. I think he's a very, very good player.
So he's actually a winger, is he? I thought. Yeah,
so he's normally he normally tends to play on either as an inverted winger on the right or then left wing as a full winger. But he's for me, if we've got an academy at the moment, I think if you're not giving Rob Apter an opportunity this season, then I don't see the point in having one, because he is probably the best prospect we've had in a long, long time.
Inverted winger, Tim. Who used to coin that phrase?
Mr. Riki, I seem to recall.
Tim, any comments on that lineup? It was a pretty strong lineup, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I think I also looked at the bench. I thought, ooh, that looks quite strong as well. Obviously we had the introduction of the Man City lad, Fiori.
Lewis Capaldi.
Lewis Capaldi, yeah. Lewis, is it? I presume
Fiorini.
Fiorini. Who I think there's obviously a link to Appleton there, isn't there, through Link, because he was there last year. So I looked at that bench. I thought, I actually thought when I saw the match lineup was, I thought we were going to do two 45-minute teams, the way it looked. Obviously, it didn't pan out that way. The other thing when I started watching the game was that I'm still getting used to it being 4-3-3. So it's a slightly different, obviously different formation to the way that Critchley played. And
I was trying to work out the formation even 25 minutes in. I was like, is this 3-5-2?
Yeah, well, I thought it was 4-3-3, but
it'll always be 4-3-3 with Appleton. But it's so fluid that at times it can look like a completely different formation. I think there's a lot more sort of attacking freedom and creative freedom that the players get compared to probably a bit more of a structured version of this. When Critchley first started, everything was a lot more structured, I think, whereas there's a bit more of a free reign, I think, for the likes of Anderson and Carey to sort of interchange positions a lot.
Yeah, and I still think Anderson's best position is in that 4-3-3 will be on the left-hand side of the front three rather than where he was today. But yeah, generally I thought, I think glad to see Grimmy in goals, glad to see Connolly in the team, but I just want him in midfield really, not at right back. Centre-back
isn't right back his actual position? I think it's the first time we've actually seen him.
Well, no, he started last season playing right back, didn't he? And listen,
he was a centre half, isn't he?
He does an okay job there, and I didn't like him originally, but having seen him play midfield and see what he brings to midfield, when he plays, I prefer him there. So, Apter, yeah, I could listen with the absences we've got. I could completely see that one. and it's good. Like Sean says, great to see a young player. Reasonably great to see Sonny Carey playing. I think we so missed him the second half of last season. I'll go on to speak about it. The only one I didn't want to see probably in that starting 11 was Hamilton, if I'm being honest. But and that's not with the benefit of my Mystic hindsight. That was just, I just thought he seems to rate him more than, and again, it might be new manager syndrome in that the new managers working out who his best players are. But I think there was players on the bench. If we were playing our strongest team, we should start ahead of CJ.
No end product were the words that kept coming out of my mouth to his performance today. Anyway, on with the game. Sean, how do you think we started?
A lot better than against Leeds, where we looked completely out of it at Leeds. We didn't show any confidence on the ball, whereas against Rangers, we were trying to make things happen. I think Josh Bowler helped that quite a lot with his drive. And then, as I say, Carey and Anderson are similar as well in terms of the way they were playing in that. It's just a freedom. I think they get more freedom going forward, and I think that helps when we're trying to create chances. Obviously, Rangers look dangerous on the break quite often, but I thought generally we were a lot better, and it's sort of the sort of performance that I think Appleton was hoping to see.
Tim, we did look quite comfortable, I thought, in the first half. We weren't overrun. We were creating chances, and I think if we'd have been a bit more clinical in front of goal, it would have been not unjust to see us going into half-time with a 1-0 lead.
Yeah, I mean, I think I generally thought we were the best team in the first half, and I thought Bowler was, by some degree, the best player on the pitch in the first half as well. There's a couple of mistakes comes into his game in the second, which we'll no doubt go on to talk about. But we had a chance. I think it was it Medina who got the ball and blazed it over, and Bowler put some crosses across that nobody ended up getting on the end to. But I generally thought my impression at the end of the first half was I was expecting more from Rangers than they actually showed, and I thought we looked the more comfortable side overall. I thought Apter had a great game. The only thing I felt with him sometimes was that in his forward play, he was a bit reserved, and I don't know whether he was a little bit nervous. And again, he's a young lad, and he's been given a big responsibility, probably slightly out of position. And is he thinking more about, if I go forward, am I worried about that somebody's not going to cover me? So I sometimes felt that he had an opportunity to go and didn't look like he had the conviction to go as quickly as he should have done. But that will come. And if you realise in a system that there'll always be somebody going to cover you, if you do push on, then I think he'll that side of the game will develop if he's going to play at left back on a regular basis. But yeah, generally I thought I didn't watch. I think I fell asleep watching the Leeds game in the second half. It was that poor, and that's after paying for it 3 times. Although they have refunded me. They've refunded me. I think they've refunded me all 3. I think if I check. But
I think it was the trauma of realising you've paid out 3 times for something without receiving the product.
Well, it's just
knocked you unconscious.
It's just, yeah. I had an hard day at work, and I just sat down, and it was a pretty poor game to watch anyway, wasn't it? And then I just sat down. The next thing I look up, and it's like at the end of the game. I think, oh, geez, I've nodded off. But those who did watch it tell me it was a pretty turgid anyway, so I don't think I missed too much. And I think it was a chalk and cheese performance. I watched the first half of the Leeds, and it was far better. I was worried watching us against Leeds. I thought, geez, we look really poor. And I felt a little bit more comfortable after watching, particularly the first half today, where I thought, you can see there's a pattern and you can see there's a game plan. And it's not perfect, but you can see that this thought got into what we're doing. Probably, arguably, more so than under particularly the early days of Critchley. I don't know what Sean thinks, but there is a style of play and there is a system that we're clearly going to play to. And I don't think we'll be jumping around reacting to other teams' setups in the same way that we've seen over the last 2 or 3 years, where we're going, I was quite frustrated sometimes under the Critchley, thinking, why the hell are we changing our game plan to react to them? Why don't we just trust the way we play? And I think we'll probably find under Appleton that it will be a case of we will play this system and we'll play it come what may.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's the patience with it as well, isn't it? Because obviously I think it's a big shift personally from what we were seeing at the back end of last season to what we're going to see now. I think you're right in terms of he's a lot more set on what he wants, which I think is good long term. I felt like this season we had to have a system and an identity this year, particularly when it comes to trying to recruit specialist players in specialist positions. You need a set system now, because it's all well and good having players that can play 2 or 3 positions quite well. If you're going to make the next step, you need players that can play an individual position very well, and hopefully we'll end up with that obviously later down the line. But for now, it is the right way to go, and I think that, as you say, he's a lot more set. He's a lot more convincing, I think, in terms of what he wants. He knows what he wants, so it makes it a lot easier for him to sort of explain things and say what he wants to do.
We've got a special guest.
Yeah.
Better late than never, Leanne.
Hiya.
Your debut.
You've just been slagged off.
Honestly, just seen your message, and I thought, oh my God, it was such short notice. And then I looked at the time, it was like 11:30 this morning.
Short notice.
I'm really sorry.
Time seems to go fast, doesn't it, when you've had a few?
Do you know what? I've got my daughter with me as well. I've come round to my friends after the game. That's good job I've got my shades on, to be fair. But I've just been messaged like, Smith, you're such a letdown. I was like, what? Why? You should be on the podcast. And I was like, what? So I've looked. I was like, oh my God, it was sent at 11:30 this morning. Yes, darling.
Bad
okay, we'll get Bruna. I'm so sorry, guys.
See,
so
Joe
yeah,
has his dogs that keep interrupting, and you.
Do you know what though? I'll give you a quick rundown. So I went at half time because I had my beautiful child with me, and so I didn't see Jerry Yates, which was brilliant. Dougal saw him running quite a bit, which was quite nice for a change. Grimmy. We looked all right, didn't we? I bet you've gone past all that now, and you're talking about next week or something, aren't you?
No, we won't. We're bullshitting for the first 20 minutes, so we're only just starting on the game.
We've been talking about pyros and stuff the first 20 minutes.
I'm so sorry anyway. So I've had an alcoholic beverage. My daughter's here, so I'll love you and leave you. And next time I will be on nice and sober, without the shade. And
without the background noise.
I know. See what I mean? But I'm so sorry, boys. You all look beautiful, by the way. Don't worry, Leanne. You've spoken more sense than short. Oh, that's obvious, and it does. Come on. Oh, it's gonna be fun.
Right, get back to your drinks, Leanne. We'll speak to you in a bit. See you later.
Bye.
A little cameo there. Where were we? So we were getting
good signing that, John. By the way, it should shake things.
Shake things up.
So, keeping you lot on your toes, you know. And if anyone sends the audience to sleep with talks of heat maps and transitions of play and other things that we don't understand, you know, there's others waiting in the wings.
Well, I'll be gone soon enough. It'll take a week.
Sean, I noticed you've just changed your background, and I did notice someone did notice what your background was all about. Where was it? I think it's Helen did mention it. Let me find the comment. Oh, I can't find it now. It's gone. But yes, there we go. Let's bring Sean up, make him big. For the uninitiated, do you want to just tell people what the hell that is? There we go. Helen the lady. Matt has influenced Sean's background.
This is a Mitch Cook's left foot special AI creation of Rich Keogh during climate change. It's one of, I think, a major gallery of works now over the past week on social media. So be sure to buy this artwork from all available stores.
Yeah, I think Mitch has been going a bit mad, Tim, hasn't he? In the in the lack of football. I think he's needed a creative
he's
outlet.
got a bit stir crazy, isn't he?
Is that a mental picture of his mental state at the moment?
I don't know. Maybe we should have commissioned him to do the mural on the outfield.
Oh dear. We'll be coming on to that in a bit anyway. I've taken a pic of that. Right, where were we in the game? Speaking of Gary Medine, I thought he cut a bit of a lost furrow up front on his own, and much as the Medine lover that I am, I don't want to see him like up front on his own. I think when we got the ball, we broke from midfield. We just didn't have any outlets or even an out ball because he was heavily outnumbered. So, what do you think? The thinking is there, leaving him isolated.
Well, I think he probably would have started Yates if he hadn't picked up his slight injury in Scotland. I don't think Medine particularly suits what Appleton wants to do long term. I think he actually looked a lot better than he did against Leeds. I thought against Leeds it looked atrocious, to be honest. But I think he worked because I think there was more attacking midfielders getting in and around him. It made it a bit easier for him, but it just doesn't really particularly suit that system. So I don't know what's going to happen with him, to be honest.
I think when you play 4-3-3, my idea of 4-3-3 is a little bit going perhaps based on Holloway's version of it. Is fluid movement up front, and he's static, isn't he? And I said I just don't see. We'll come on to, I think, the comparison with what happened in the second half. But you talk about press, and there was none at all in the first half. Albeit I'm appreciating the other end, but I would say there was zero press from anywhere in the front three in the first half, and then you look at what happens after 60 minutes, and it's there's a noticeable difference. And I'm not just blaming Medine. I'm actually more annoyed with CJ Hamilton about that, to be honest, because I think there's no excuse for him. He's younger and he's more mobile, but I just don't think we troubled the Rangers defence as we should have done when we were the better team. And I think
I think we didn't have Bowler, Tim, we wouldn't really have had an attacking outlet at all.
No, but I think if we'd had Lavery and Yates on in the first half, with the possession that we had, the good possession that we had, I think we'd have scored one, maybe two. Now, I'm not saying, but that was the difference for me. When we were the better team, we had two players up there who just weren't at the races for me.
Okay, on to the second half. Sean, Rangers gone ahead on 6 minutes into the second half. Borno Barisic with a tidy finish, side-footed into the corner.
Yeah, he'd obviously
Tim
got
didn't like that finish.
No,
Tim obviously did not like that goal.
Yeah, Borna Barisic, I think, had got sick of Josh Bowler running him ragged in the first half, so he had a bit back on himself. It was pretty poor from Bowler losing the ball in a dangerous area. Tried to sort of drag his shirt back to try and get it back, but by then it was too late. And it's a great finish, in fairness. I was right behind it. It's a good curling effort from Barisic, but yeah, I think, as I say, getting his own back for Bowler, rinsing him in the first half.
Tim, about Josh Bowler, isn't it great that we're apparently going to be keeping him for the season? So you'd like to think 2 weeks to go.
I'm not holding my breath. Yeah. I've got to say, I go back to my comment in the first half. I think don't think he was quite as effective in the second, but I thought in the first half he was the best player on the pitch, and even he's got his limitations. He's got his Achilles heel, but it's so good to watch. I mean, it's what, as a football fan, you want a player like that in your team. We've talked about this before, and I hope to God that we keep him, because I didn't think we would. I didn't think he'd be here now, but I think the issue is, if I'm reading the tea leaves right, is that nobody's prepared to pay what we think he's worth at the moment, and that, I suspect, is the reason why we haven't signed any players. because I think we thought he was going. I think we thought we might get 3 million for him, and that was probably going to be our transfer budget for the summer. And now he's not going, or might not be going, or might not go for as much money as we thought he might do. It's impacting on what we can do. But I would rather keep him. So that's my view. I'd rather keep him, and if we have to augment what we've got with some Premiership loan signings, then that's fine by me. Hopefully the first of those is with us already, and hopefully he's going to be a great addition. And there's perhaps two obvious places where we need to be looking for another one. Whether we can get that remains to be seen.
Which I guess segues into this comment from Danny. Blackpool signed Lewis Fiorini on loan from Manchester City. What's your opinion? Sean, maybe you're best informed to tell us a bit about him. No, he's shaking his head. A loanee from Manchester City. That's kind of all we know.
Well, he was at Lincoln last year, wasn't he? So we know he was at Lincoln last year. Appleton, I asked my Man City mate what he knew about him, which isn't a great deal, I don't think. But he did say, for what he knew, Appleton really rated him. And obviously that's where the link is. The link is that Appleton was his manager last year. He's brought him here. We only saw a little cameo today, but I think it was a positive cameo.
Apart from the corner.
Apart from the dodgy corner he did, yeah.
I was thinking, no! We've signed
exactly what we did
another player that can't get past the first man on a corner.
His first one was all right, wasn't it? His first one from the other side was all right. But I thought, it's early days. You can't really tell, can you? Yeah. But when somebody gets 15 minutes, it's quite difficult. But
he's a creative midfielder with a keen eye for goal, it says. And I watched his interview on Tangerine TV, and he said he calls himself an attacking midfielder, and he likes to get his shots away. So maybe he's the piece of the jigsaw that we've been missing.
Massively sign a 5-year deal with Manchester City. You're doing something right, aren't you? So,
you'd like to think so.
As far as Appleton was saying afterwards, that isn't it in terms of central midfielders that he wants. So that's still an area he wants to strengthen. So I don't think we're done in that department. Definitely not.
I mean, with Kevin Stewart sort of hitting the treatment table again, which is very disappointing. We need to recruit there, don't we? Massively. I think Sonny Carey
was good today, wasn't he?
Sonny Carey was great today, and I think he. But we probably need somebody alongside Dougal. If you're going to play that, for me, if you're going to play that three in the middle, you need to have one who's just sitting behind the centre forward, and then two doing the.
He'll play it the other way. He'll go one holding, two advanced.
Do you think so?
He's set on that. That's basically it. Because, like I say, like when you were saying before about whether it'll be 4-3-3 and it'll be one holding, two advanced.
Right, but I don't want to see Keshi in that three. I want Keshi out left. If assuming Keshi stays, and which I think he seems to be doing at the moment. That's where Keshi's natural position is for me, out on the left, not in that three. But he can do it. But I think he's the better player. I think if Keshi had been out on that left wing in the first half again, would have seen a different performance.
Just saying one more positive attribute from Sonny Carey is now his hair's a bit longer. It is a natural shade of tangerine as well. So
I didn't recognise him. I thought when I said, "Who's the ginger?"
Who's the ginger? We're going to say, Tim. That's racist. That's racist.
He's gingerish.
What about Grant Ward?
Yeah, that was a surprise to see him. The rumour was he was. Where was he?
Well, he played for Reading in Portugal against Benfica on trial. They had like 8 trialists.
And he's played for Tom Ince and thought, fuck this for a game of Pullers have played, thought, fuck this for a game of soldiers.
But I think Appleton was always keen to sort of have a look at him. And then obviously Grant Ward, within his rights when he's not under contract, probably went to Reading thinking, well, we can't just sort of hold on. But it'd be interesting to see what happens there. I'm not for me personally, but we'll soon see. That
was kind of the opinion I formed. Not for me, but they've said we won't lead him down a path that he thinks he's going down, so we'll make him well aware of our intentions within the next week. They said in the club statement I read. So my inference from that was they're not going to sign him. But
But-
I don't, go on,
But
Tim.
why would you have him in the squad today if you're not going to sign him?
Bodies. But bodies, really.
But
We
also,
still need bodies in
it-
position.
on his day, he's a very good attribute, isn't he? If he can get a season out of him, I'd take him.
I mean, but prior to his injury, he was an integral
He
part of the team.
He started
wasn't
all of the championship games until he got injured at Bournemouth. So he started quite well as well, I thought. But for me, I don't know. I think we've got so many of these midfielders that are so hit and miss. We do need that extra bit of quality, which is easier said than done. But I don't know. It doesn't exactly give the most ringing endorsement of a statement of where we're going if we're then releasing a player and then signing him back 4 weeks later.
Michael Preston, you might want to change your surname, Michael. I've mentioned this before when you've made comments. Carey's been great all pre-season. It's good to see he's getting stuck in as well, winning the ball back. And Grant Wood may be a different proposition in the midfield. 3.
He definitely played. I thought he was all right today, and he advanced the ball well. He always has been a good ball carrier. I just think recruitment-wise, we should be recruiting for players that we think are an improvement on everything that we've got. Else, I don't think there's particularly much point because we already have a number of bodies in central. We're well stocked in central midfield. We need quality now, consistent quality, and I think Ward is just one of the others.
Well stocked, Sean. I like that. Should we use like a kind of a Waitrose analogy, as in using a supermarket analogy?
We have midfielders in the basket, but they're all going. Their use-by date is coming to a close. So
Tim, what supermarket would you say Grant Ward's from, as opposed to a sort of a Premier League pairing?
I think he's
midfield, sort of a Waitrose kind of.
I think he's above Lidl, isn't he?
I think he's kind of an Asda.
I think he's more. He's like Morrison's, isn't he? He's sort of fairly reliable, but you're not getting a super bargain, and you're not getting the top quality.
We want a Fortnum and Mason midfielder, the sort of place where Tim does all his food shopping from.
Yeah, we want somewhere that stocks the best wines and creme fraiche and all the best pastries, don't we? That's what we want.
Just to bring this down a notch, Clapstick says, "Why are we pissing about not signing Ward? It's a no-brainer."
But then he says decent backup, which is kind of the point I was making, that yes, he would be a good rotation signing, but I don't think we should be signing rotation players anymore when we've already got a solid squad. We should bring in players that influence the first team straight away.
We should be bringing in a Waitrose central midfielder. I think that's what we need, don't we? We can't afford Fortnum and Mason, you Phil Fodens. Yeah.
I think when we're going shopping, we need to be looking like we've done today. I think we need to be looking at the Premier League, don't we? So we need to be shopping at Fortune and Masons, but maybe going in there with some
yellow sticker,
with some vouchers.
Yellow sticker. That's what we need. A yellow sticker, Fortnum and Mason.
We're going at 8 o'clock at night. We're going at 8 o'clock at night when the use-by dates are up.
Or booths.
And we grab ourselves a bargain.
Any residents or people visiting Polton may well find me skulking around the refrigerated areas of booths at 8:30 looking for Charlie Bingham meals, heavily marked down. £8 for a macaroni cheese. Not when I'm around. £3.99.
And that's what we want. We want the $3.99 central midfielder who scores 25 goals a season.
Right, we've nailed it. We should have a place on the board with this.
We should do, actually, with our insight into the analogies that can be drawn between supermarket shopping and player acquisitions. We should be there on the recruitment team, shouldn't we? At least in a consultancy capacity.
Exactly. Ben, Simon, Brett, if you're listening, give Tim a ring and get us on there. Right, second half. Obviously, we've gone 1 down. The game, is it fair to say it kind of petered out after the mass changes? Rangers made wholesale changes. We did on 63 minutes, Medina and Hamilton off for Yates and Lavery. I think, Tim, we did look a bit more lively, didn't we, since the introduction of Yates and Lavery?
Well, I said on the Patreon group, we did more press in the first 2 minutes after those two came on than we'd done in the previous 60. And I wasn't being facetious when I said that. I actually, it's what I saw. I mean, Yates looked like a devil dog who was like desperate to prove something. But what we saw was between him, Lavery, and Carey, before Carey got withdrawn, that they put the Rangers' defence under a massive amount of pressure and forced mistakes. And we hadn't seen any of that at any point in the previous 60 minutes for me. And I quite liked it. I've got to say, I quite like it. I think our big problem is with all our centre forwards is none of them can hit the proverbial barn door, can they? We need a striker who can score 20 odd goals a season, and as much as we love them all, I don't see any of them doing it.
No, I think the difference in today's game was Rangers were pretty clinical with their chances. They did have a Suter, what his name was, John Suter. He's nearly scored just after the subs, but Charlie McCann, what a finish for that goal! Came from nothing. I thought it was. I actually stood up and I applauded, which I do very rarely. Again,
chill out. We're that good.
And in fact, and then I stood up and started chanting, "Who are you? Who are you? Who are you?" towards the east. Not at the Rangers fans, but at you, Sean. At you.
As you can tell, I was really happy at that moment as well. That was the killer blow for me, John. I heard it actually. Out of all that noise, I heard you specifically call me out there.
It must have been great fun. Must have been great fun sat either side of the Blue Noses all the way through the game.
Oh, it was just so much fun, Tim. Honestly, I was enthralled with the action. It got to like the last minute, and I literally just had my head in my hands. I was so done. I just needed to leave. But yeah, it is what it is, isn't it? It made it more fun for me anyway because I had a little bit more sort of riding on it, I guess.
What did you think about the introduction of the Lavery and Yates subs? I just thought the dynamic changed in relation to our forward play for the good. What do you think?
Yeah, because like you say, you need a fluid front three, don't you? And they offer that, and I think Lavery's good down the left, cutting inside in particular. And I think he gave Apter a bit of the license early in the second half to get forward a bit more on that left hand side than perhaps he got in the first half. I think Yates is probably first choice, isn't he? When everyone's fit and firing, because Lavery's more of a presser. I think Yates is more of the all-round player probably, but. Again, ideally, I think I would have an addition up top, but I don't think it's probably out of the priority positions where we need. It's not exactly right at the top of the list because I think as much as obviously we'd quite like a 20 goal a season goal scorer, if we're bringing in players like these advanced midfielders who can chip in with 5 or 6, then it all kind of builds up together, doesn't it? And you end up scoring the same amount of goals as a team. So as long as we're bringing in advanced midfielders who can start to get on the score sheet, which is what we missed last season, then we should be okay.
Glenn King's just made a decent comment. Did the Gers keep have a single save to make in the game? Don't think he did really, apart from picking the ball out of the net.
No, trying to think. No, because we kept hitting it over the bar or just wide and stuff from chances, didn't we?
Yeah, I think.
It was the same in the first half. Grimmy didn't make a save in the first half.
He did? Was it second half?
No, they were on the second half.
Second half, yeah.
To be fair, he had a few to make in the second, and he made some good saves. But and I remember at half time thinking, because I actually thought Maxwell was coming on. I was thinking Grimmy's not had anything to do there. But yeah, no, I can't really. We've tended to hit them over, didn't we? Whenever we got a chance, they were always over rather than on target, which again, Jerry had one in the second half over, Medid first half over. And that's where
Connolly just wide.
Yeah.
Header. Yeah.
It's disappointing because I think if we whatever level of football you play, you talk about hitting the target, don't you? You're not going to score unless you hit the target. And when you're not doing that, you're not making the keeper make saves, then it's going to limit your goal. It's going to limit your goal scoring opportunities, isn't it?
And you're certainly going to get punished against the team that made the Europa League final. But a bit of redemption, a bit of redemption for Bez Labala on 88 minutes, and quite a funny story. Just a something I did. When he got the ball, he was on, as you're looking at the goal, to the left, but he was on the right hand side, and he had an easy option just to knock it out right. I think it was whoever was on the right. It wasn't Bowler. I remember like just about to say, why the fuck have you not just knocked it out wide when he cut inside? And he tried to make something happen in the box, rather than just playing the easy kind of square ball and getting a cross in. He made more of a dynamic play, if you will, played a little 1-2. It was good to see, Tim, a bit of positive intent in the box rather than taking the easy option.
He looks a bit bigger than I remembered him as well. It's one of those. He's sort of been in the wilderness for that long after he's obviously fairly public fallout last season with the club,
which he was acquitted with. There was that, and obviously the
but also it was. When I was talking about the fallout, it says like this issue of whether it was disclosed and all that nonsense that went on. But I don't know what I think really. When I saw him, it was in the squad at Southport and whatever. I thought, oh, is that what we're back to? But I've got to say, I thought in his little cameo today, I thought he brought something into.
Has he played his way into contention?
I think he has. I was almost trying to get the words, but I was thinking it sort of gave something different. And if you've got somebody who gives something different from the bench, then you can introduce him, can't you? Like you say, he was trying to do positive stuff. He looked to. I don't know what I had him in his head. He was a bit smaller than he looked today. I thought, so he had a bit about him, and a bit of muscle about him, and I thought you could see how he could do something. And I'm not saying he's the answer, but he might be an option. That's all. That's where I'm at with it, I think.
Sean, our friend, has just said on Twitch, Bez's pace and strength. Whether he's any good, I don't know, but those things are a combination that no one else has.
Yeah. Well,
Penny for your thoughts. Oh, back to you, Tim.
No, I was going to say Mitch likes to hang his hook, so to speak, on players who don't perform. So I hope he's not going to change his allegiances from Medine to Bez.
Players that don't perform, what?
Well, you know what I mean. He didn't perform today, really, for me. That'll get him going. I'm sure we'll get
I was actually just going to wait to see if there's like some sort of message coming up.
Some form of explosion.
There's going to be another maddening on Twitter. There's going to be very dark photos of you posted, Sean. You, Tim, sorry. There's going to be some very dark photos posted of you.
I'm just waiting for. I think it's composing something fairly long and quite incisive, I think.
Club gas expulsion. There's nothing worse than that, Tim.
Oh, no. I'm out of the club, am I? Do I lose my badge?
I won't be able to sleep tonight.
For me, on the Barler, it's a no. Because at the end of the day, he went out on loan to Northampton last season and did practically nothing of note. I think, to an extent, I think he's above Hamilton, but I don't think that's particularly a ringing endorsement of a footballer at the moment. So again, it's one of those. He's probably worth keeping around. If we're not going to be able to shift him off, it's not the end of the world if he stays. But again, if he's playing a good amount of league games next season, I'm worried.
Josh always has some nice comments. It's pre-season, don't get carried away. Mitchell looked like a world beater pre-season last term. Point well made, I think. Club Baz versus Club Gaz. Love it, Stephen. Right, any closing remarks from anybody about the game? Just like to say thanks to all the Rangers fans who came today. They just made it absolutely a brilliant occasion, and I think it was good to see everything played out in the right spirits. And this from Correct by Default. Good game, Blackpool. Thanks for your hospitality.
There's no lariness, was there? Which I was expecting a little bit of. what you do, when we get a big away following,
Especially when everyone's pissed up and been
an
on the
English
piss all
away
day,
following. I'm
wasn't
talking
any?
about here. Like when we've had Sunderland, and I'm not having to go to Sunderland, but like we've had the likes of, I'm trying to think of other clubs that brought loads of fans. They've been like a little bit, I don't know, we're bigger than you, and are quite disrespectful. Where I felt today, I've got to say, I was really, really pleasantly surprised by the warmth, shall I say, of the way that they were. And I said, we were just in the Armfield, offering to buy us drinks, shaking our hands, taking the piss out of each other, but then like joining us in the conversation and saying, doesn't one of them look like Frodo out of Lord of the Rings? So one of the other guys was coming up to us, so doesn't he look like Frodo? And it was all banter and it was all great fun, and they were thanking us for the hospitality. And all the guys there was plenty of Rangers in the north, but none of them got Larry. None of them were out of order. None of them were too loud. They were quite respectful about the fact they were in the home end. I thought, and they're welcome back for me. They're welcome back anytime.
Yeah, great boost for the town as well to have 8,000 plus away supporters, and I'm sure they're filling the pubs, they're filling the guest houses, hotels. So yeah, just a great day all around. I remember a couple of them were like fist bumping me on the way out, saying good luck for the season, boys, and also they've got a fantastic coloured away kit, haven't they? They
have that. So that's the best bit about them, isn't it?
Let's not talk about the origins of that kit, though.
But the orange order. Oh right, okay. Better not go there then. Don't want another Gaza moment.
I think we're going back to the 17th century there, aren't we? With drums are involved, are they? Ian?
Let's not go there, Tim. Remember Gaza got death threats, didn't he? Odd Bob at the panel. Not sure how full the stadium was, but did the support with the fans help with the atmosphere? Because
massively.
Yeah,
I always think
they were effectively the home side, weren't they?
I feel like the intensity of that game probably wouldn't have been the same if it wasn't for the atmosphere in the stands. I always think pre-season games can be a bit of a non-event when the fans aren't there.
That's why I normally never go to them. Never normally do pre-season, never. I'm umming and ahhing whether they go to the Everton game. Are you going, Tim?
I think so. I mean, it would be different, but I think Everton are going to bring decent numbers, and I think it's just, it'd be good to just see. You're going to start seeing the development of what is the first team, I think, in the Everton game. So I think it'd be quite interesting from that perspective, just to see where his mindset is, and hopefully it doesn't involve the left wing spot being held by its current incumbent.
Obviously, we've got Salford as well on Tuesday in the 45 million degree heat in Manchester.
Oh, it's on Tuesday. Is it on Tuesday night? Oh, I'm not going
Tuesday
to that.
Night, so that'll be fun.
Are you going to that, Tim?
Not now that it's been mentioned that 40, because it literally is. The Manchester.
We're just out of it here, aren't we?
Manchester's in that ultra hot zone. If you actually,
pretty sure it said 39 when I checked.
Because I'm nerdy and I go on the Met weather app, and if you look at Manchester and Leeds, they are actually in the most northern part of that zone, and the forecasting 39 degrees. And going right back, I was in, as I suspect some of the people on here were, when we played QPR when Holloway was the manager there. And we went down and played in that black kit. And the Sunday was, I flew from, it was when Blackpool was still flying down to Stansted. So I'd done the plane down to Stansted, all that bit. But on the Saturday was hot, really hot. The Sunday was the hottest day up to that point. And I think actually the hottest temperature was just outside London, but it was unbelievable. And that was 38 point something. And they reckon it's going to be done, don't they, on Tuesday? They reckon it's going to go over 40 for the first time ever.
I've been in Sydney once when it was over 40 degrees. My God, it was unbearable. You open your window and it was literally like sticking your head in an oven, just opening your window. And I think the only way I survived is I think I just spent all day in an air-conditioned shopping centre, milking a Boost smoothie for 6 hours.
I mean, I used to go to holiday in Cyprus in August, and it once hit 51 there or something. But you're not doing anything. You're not doing anything, are you? You're sat by the pool, or you sit inside and you just have another drink and just relax. If you're trying to work or sit in the sun and watch a football match, it's not pleasant. And
No.
so I was thinking about it, but now it's a no.
I was going to say York was like 28, and that was unbearable. And because their stand was like really low on the opposite side, the sun's just in your face. Although to be fair, when the third goal went in, I was quite happy that was the case. But yeah, it's not going to be fun. But we'll see and see. I'm pretty sure Maxwell's going to be in net for it. From what he was saying,
I thought he was on. Somebody in the comments said he wasn't on the bench today, but I thought he was, wasn't he? Is he not?
Yeah, he was on the bench.
Yeah, I thought he was.
Yeah. Right, let's just fire through a few quick news items just before we head off. News. You see on the banner there.
Wow.
Jimmy Armfield Mural was finished today. Let's get a picture of it up. What do we all think? Tim, you took that photo. You're on your bike this morning, I guess.
I think I took it from somewhere else actually, because I think that was taken yesterday afternoon. I think there's three things I think needs to change. The badge isn't straight. If you look at the badge in the middle, it's not in line with the badge, the outer badge. So that needs to change. But I think what I'm going to prefix what I'm going to say by saying that I think normally when somebody produces something like this, they do it and then they show it to everybody when it's finished. And I think even when you think it's finished, sometimes you go back and think that needs to change. But people only see it when you've done all those corrections. So when you're doing something on public display like this, you don't have that opportunity. So personally, that needs to change. I don't like the FY160H that looks like a kid's done it next to the rest of it. I think that needs to change, and it needs to sort the eyes out. It looks like he's in round 9 of a Rocky film, where they've blasted the crap out of each other for 9 rounds, and their eyes are virtually closing. So that needs. But again, I know he's changed it already, but I think that just needs to be corrected. I think there's just too much on the bottom. But overall, visually, when I walk,
it's striking. It's really striking from a distance.
Fantastic. It's fantastic. Yeah. These are tweaks, and these are tweaks that listen, I've known nothing about murals, but trying to create a canvas like that big, and from what I understand, and Mitch I think knows a little bit about this, doesn't he, and a couple of other people, eyes and teeth are the hardest things to get right, that for me they're easily changeable, but they do need to be changed in order for it to be what we all want it to be. But it's visually striking.
The shirt looks really good. The shirt's fantastic from a distance. I think I'd have just made it black. I'd have made the background all that like wavy pinky stuff. I'd have just made that a dark color, and the orange with the tangerine shirt, which looks great, would have really popped from a distance. That was the changes I'd make. I'd get rid of that background and just have a darker muted color, and you'd get a real good contrast from the. You were
slagging off the horns, thinking it's a Vuvuzela.
Oh yeah, I was like, yeah, what's that, a Vuvuzela?
Yeah, but as I said that picture to you, the Atomic Boys had trumpets and cornets and all sorts of things going on. I sent you a picture on the WhatsApp thing. Yeah. So the reality is that if you're going back to that era, which was it was all sort of the end of the Atomic Boys era thing, but that was going on. So I have no problem with any of that. As I said, I was thinking that badge.
The eyes. Someone's just put in the comments. He looks stoned. A couple of people put that, and
or hay fever. Got really, really bad hay fever. I remember actually when I was a kid, I ran through a field of really tall grass when I used to have bad hay fever as a kid, and my eyes went up a little bit like that. Went really, really like sort of. To me, the analogy is it looks like a Rocky film. So listen, it's a little tweaks, couple of little tweaks, and then I think he's done a fantastic job. As I said, that was a horrible peeling wall, and it's now very, very visually striking. It's a fantastic effort.
My only other comment was there's like a big black darkness under his nose, and goes down onto his chin. I don't know. It just doesn't facially. It just you look at that and you don't think. You think, who is it? Don't you? It doesn't remind me of Jimmy Armfield. But I think that comes with the eyes, like you've said.
Yeah, the eyes have got to be right,
Yeah.
and that's that. I guess I think it comes from the fact that's the hardest bit, and the teeth are difficult. But Jimmy didn't have perfect
He had a gap
teeth
between
by
his teeth, didn't he?
any stretch of the imagination. So, but I think you've got to be careful that it doesn't overemphasize that. But I think the thing is in the photograph that they've used, he is squinting because I think he's got the sun in the eyes. So, but I just think it's just slightly overdone at the moment. But it's a great idea. It's a great effort, and I said hopefully the positive feedback, constructive feedback, I should say, will be taken on board. And there's a couple of little corrections. And I think it will be everything that everybody wants it to be.
Any thoughts on it, Sean?
I think you've covered it, to be honest. Yeah, like you say, it's very striking, and it's nice that we're able to fan fund these sort of things as well. That was a great effort from everyone to be able to get the money secured for it as well. So it's nice because at the end of the Armfield Club is practically now like a community hub, isn't it, for Blackpool fans? So it's nice to have it looking nice on the outside.
It's like I said from walking over Santan's Road, even from the side nearer the pub, you could see that tangerine shirt from all the way down the street. It really drew the eye. So yeah, a few tweaks anyway. I think it'll be even better than it already is. What else we got? New shirt came out. I've not bought a shirt for 10 years maybe, because slightly overweight men in the 40s should not be buying football shirts, really. But this is an absolute beauty. Sean, a football shirt collecting nerd as you are, how does this one rate?
Amazing. I've got my phone covers the old sort of version of it, so I was delighted when that come out. Obviously, as I've gone on to say, I've bought a medium shirt and very much realised that I need to either get to the gym or get a size up, but we'll move with that one.
I'm just sucking in at the moment.
Yeah.
Try and display
So it's not just mid 40s man. I think it's mid 20s man as well. But I mean I don't know for sure, but I think the talk is that the away shirt is similarly a sort of a classic sort of remake. So if we're not going to do like the score draw type things, this is better, I think, than the score draw sort of replica style things. I think this is best kit of my lifetime anyway for home shirts, because obviously home shirts can be very run of the mill, can't they? Whereas the last two seasons in particular, we've kind of made an effort to make it a little bit different.
Tim, you getting one?
No. Well, actually, no. If the rule is that 40-year-old slightly overweight men shouldn't wear one, then that's got to be multiplied by at least a factor of 3 for slightly overweight 50-year-old men. So what I would say, however, is that being the manager of Blackpool's very successful walking football side, we're getting a new kit this season, and it will be that one. So I will be wearing it.
Oh, you will?
But I'll be wearing it on a football pitch, not in the stands.
You sound a bit like the inverted.
But I love it.
ringer.
I love it. I think it's the best kit. For me, it's trying to think
superb. It's the best one we've ever had.
I think it's the best kit since Alan Ball was manager when we had the Easy Wear one, which I loved. Probably because it was around the time when I first started watching Blackpool. But I know it's better than the more salmon coloured one that we had, which was sort of like which is on the back of Sean's phone. I think it's better than that because it's
the correct shade of tangerine.
For that reason, I think it's the Pantone's right, shall we say, which is the proper. It's the proper colour.
But to stop blowing the smoke up the merchandise department's arse, I think they've dropped a bollock with the training wear this year. I don't know if anyone saw it. A horrendous shade of salmon.
There's
they were
a
wearing
special
today.
name for the colours. I forget what it was. I'm pretty sure the darker coloured training wear is Parisian Night. I'm not particularly sure what the home version. It's just crap templates, isn't it? It's Puma templates.
Colours appalling.
Puma are kind of renowned for just template and everything, so I think we're quite lucky that we've got a specialised home shirt. So I always think training wear is crap anyway, to be honest, and it's completely overpriced. So,
Tim, do you think Simon Saddle's had something to do with this? Because it seems very bespoke to everyone was harking back to the original Bass kit, weren't they? Saying we want something similar to that. So it's pretty unique. 'Cause you're not going to see another Watto.
Yeah, and what I like about it is I've never been a great fan of like having white on the top. I want a plain-ish tangerine top with white shorts. The classic colours are what most, for me, what most fans want. So you've got the diamonds in it, which sort of give it a little bit of texture. But at the end of the day, it's for the front on. It's a solid tangerine kit with white shorts and tangerine socks, and that's what I want. And I'm like, listen, I don't know what input Simon's had into it. I don't know what input any of the directors have had into it, but I'm sure they've had the say, and I'm sure they've seen various samples, and I think they've chosen extremely well. And so every credit.
Okay. A few more items just before we head off. We're on Sky twice. It's like waiting for a bus. Last season we were on once until March, and they've decided to put us on twice. We're on against QPR away and Blackburn at home, both in August. So don't think any of us were going for QPR, were we? So that's a bonus. Apart from Sean,
it's frustrating. QPR's on a midweek.
It was.
It's good now that it's on Sky. But it's frustrating it's on Tuesday night because I think QPR is probably a game that a lot of us, a little bit like the Fulham, it would have probably been this year's Fulham game.
It would.
But with it being midweek, so we get the joy of Millwall on a Saturday, which doesn't quite have the same appeal.
Ash tried to set up another Thames trip WhatsApp group that kind of sank like the proverbial.
I've never known as many people be away on holiday in September ever. Everyone's saying, "Sorry, Ash, I'm away. I'm away." He set
up a WhatsApp group, and it was like a video printer of people leaving, wasn't it? I'm away, leave. I'm away, leave. I'm away, leave. So I don't think that's going to happen.
No, I think even in QPR, I think it'd have got traction.
I remember the last time we had QPR on a bloody weekend. We always seem to get them away from home.
It must have been that 40-degree black kit away game when we played it when it was 40 degrees.
It was. I can't believe they played in a black kit that day. Jesus, what were they thinking of? You'd have changed it, wouldn't you? You'd have. Well, I presume you could. You'd have changed it. Why would it? Playing in a black kit in incredible temperatures like that. I felt really sorry for the players. We lost 5-0, so I don't think it helped us at all.
Right, and the final news piece before we head off. There was road closures today. I don't know if anyone noticed, but that's been announced. The Bloomfield Road and surrounding area is going to be closed to traffic for 20 minutes after each game. And I thought it worked really well, Tim, particularly with a vast amount.
Well, I don't know because I went. We spend a game where we're intermingling with Rangers fans in the pubs. They let them in the Armfield. It was like because normally the away fans aren't allowed in the Armfield. They let them in there. And then we come out of the north and the gates are closed again. And it's like...
I noticed that. Yep.
So for F's sake, so it's like So actually, I was with Ashley and Badder and we went round the cinema side, shall we say, to get to our car, which was near Tilsley Cons. But so I didn't go around that way. It's a long answer to give the short. I didn't actually see the impact of the road closure after the game because I went the other way around. But incredibly frustrating that the office gate to get out of is again shut when we spent all game mixing anyway. I'm sure somebody thought it was a good idea at the time. But yeah, I think it's a good idea that there's road closures. But the slight issue is that they've got road closures going further up Seaside as well, haven't they? So I think my concern is during the season, it's going to create horrendous traffic problems.
Anyway, let's move on from this very boring topic to the casual.
You asked?
I did, Tim. I did. My own fault. Right, I think we'll leave it there. Just one quick announcement just before we go. Obviously, the new season's coming, and we're looking to get a sponsor for the podcast next season. So, any local businesses out there or organisations want to get a bit more exposure to Blackpool and football-related audiences, get in contact with me, Seaside at Seasiders Pod, and we'll thrash out a deal. And do like and subscribe to the channel if you're watching on YouTube. Helps us grow and all that. Yeah, I think that's it. So all remains to be said is thanks for watching. Thanks for downloading. Do like and subscribe. And up the pool.
Up the pool.
Up the pool.